Everyone has heard a story about someone who disappeared, but some disappearances go beyond time and space. These missing people didn't just vanish, they left behind dark, terrifying secrets. So what's the truth behind their disappearances? In the deepest, darkest moments of the night, we must confront the shadows of the past. Today, we'll explore the 10 most horrifying and unexplained disappearances in history. Amelia Earhart, the woman who disappeared in the sky, 1937. One of aviation's brave pioneers, Amelia Earhart, disappeared over the Pacific Ocean in 1937 while attempting to fly around the world. Her last radio message was, "I'm running out of fuel. I need to land." And then silence. Search efforts yielded no results. However, years later, a skeleton and some belongings that might have belonged to her were found on an island. So what happened? She crashed into the ocean and died. She was captured by the Japanese and executed as a spy. She survived on a deserted island, but was never found. Percy Fawcett, The Curse of the Amazon, 1925. Famous explorer Percy Fawcett, along with his son Jack, ventured deep into the Amazon. They never returned. His last message said, "We're heading east now, don't worry." But after that, no news came. Theories include they were killed by natives. They found the lost city and decided to live there. They crossed into another dimension. Roanoke Colony, the mass disappearance, 1587. Over 100 people disappeared without a trace. The leader, who had gone to England for supplies, returned 3 years later to find the colony completely abandoned. The only clue? The word Croatoan carved into a tree. Some theories suggest they were wiped out by a tribe. A plague ended everything. They crossed into another dimension. Benjamin Bathurst vanished in the blink of an eye, 1809. The British diplomat stepped out of an inn after having dinner and disappeared before everyone's eyes. After his disappearance, only his pants were found, but he was never seen again. What could have happened? He was assassinated. He time traveled. He crossed into a parallel universe. Theodosia Burr Alston, The Ghost Ship, 1813. The daughter of the American Vice President, Theodosia, boarded a ship and never returned. Years later, a woman found a portrait on the shore and claimed this was with a woman washed ashore. So what happened to Theodosia? She was kidnapped by pirates. She was thrown into the sea and returned as a ghost. She changed her identity and lived a secret life. Ambrose Bierce, the author who disappeared in his own story, 1913. Famous horror writer Ambrose Bierce set off for Mexico. His last message was, "Don't ask where I'm going, because I don't know." Some reports say he fought with revolutionaries, but his body was never found. Theories include he died in a battle. He was sacrificed by a cult. He got stuck in the horror story he wrote. Jim Sullivan, the singer abducted by aliens, 1975. Folk musician Jim Sullivan made songs about aliens. His last album was titled UFO and described being abducted by aliens. Then he disappeared in the desert. His car and belongings were found, but he was never seen again. So what happened to him? He was abducted by aliens. He joined a secret cult. He died in the desert, but his body mysteriously vanished. Glenn and Bessie Hyde, The Cursed Canyon Journey, 1928. A newlywed couple set off on a river trip through the Grand Canyon. Days later, their boat was found, but they were gone. Years later, a guide claimed to have encountered an old woman who said, "I am Bessie." What happened? One killed the other and fled. They fell victim to the curse of the canyon. They started a new life elsewhere. Louis Le Prince, the lost father of cinema, 1890. The man who invented the first film camera disappeared during a train journey. He boarded the train, but when it arrived, he was nowhere to be found. Neither his body nor belongings were found. What might have happened? He was killed by competitors. He was cursed by his own invention. He crossed into another dimension. Solomon Northup, the man who lost his freedom, 1857. Solomon Northup, a freed former slave who wrote the book 12 Years a Slave, mysteriously disappeared one day. What might have happened? He was killed by those seeking revenge. He was secretly enslaved again. He hid away by his own will.